What is up, YouTube? My name is Trinity and welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you've been here before. First and foremost, I want to say happy holidays to any of you that are celebrating any upcoming holidays, or if you decide not to celebrate holidays, they're just not your thing, or you just don't want to for whatever reason. I hope you guys are having an awesome day, week, month, whatever, and I hope you have an awesome rest of your year. So before I hop into this video and get to the main subject, I do want to say a couple of things. This is my first video that I am actually talking about true crime, and because the actual subject of this video involves actual real-world people and horrible things that actually happened, I want to try to be as respectful as possible. So I'm going to take a lot of care with this video. I don't know how in detail I want to go, just because it does involve a child, it involves death, and I will be mentioning people that are still alive and also people that aren't here to defend themselves also. So just everything I say in this video comes from research I have done on the internet. None of this is stuff I am just making up. I will leave my sources down in the description below, and any opinions I give are strictly that, just opinions. I will give my opinions on certain theories relating to this case, but I will never say definitively this is what happened. I'm nervous doing this just because there's a difference between talking about probably not real stuff or creatures that could exist or whatever. They're creatures, no crime has been committed, so I want to take a lot more care with this video before I get into it. Also, I know I'm a small channel, I don't get many views, many comments, and that's totally fine, but if you decide you want to comment, please just keep it respectful, just because, again, it does involve actual real-world people and an actual crime that happened. So today we are going to be talking about the murder of JonBenet Ramsey. The reason I chose this is because, one, it happened, there's a few discrepancies on when this incident actually happened, either on Christmas or the day after Christmas. But because it has almost been 25 years since this case actually happened, actually, in 2 days from when I'm filming this, it will be the 25-year anniversary since this unsolved case actually happened. I thought it was probably, I don't want to say an appropriate subject, but it was one that is topical, I guess. So again, I'm going to try to keep this as respectful as possible. And let's jump into it. JonBenet Ramsey was a 6-year-old American beauty queen, and she was born to parents JonBenet Ramsey, who she was named for, and Patsy Ramsey, her mother. And she also had an older brother named Burke, who was 3 years older than her. It was determined that she was murdered on December 26th, although on her gravestone her family put that she was murdered on the 25th, Christmas obviously. I think the reason was just to make it more memorable. That sounds weird, but it leaves more of an impact, I guess. If this happened on a holiday, it's less forgettable, even though obviously this is not a forgettable case at all. This has been talked about nonstop for the last 25 years. This is an unsolved case. There have been suspects, but nobody has officially ever been charged with her murder. There have been people that have come forward claiming that they did murder her, only to be cleared of charges later because there was not enough evidence to substantiate their claims. Although apparently recent DNA evidence may change this soon. This case may be possibly coming to a close. So the story goes, in the early hours of December 26th, Patsy Ramsey gets up to start getting the family ready for a trip they're about to go on, and she finds JonBenet's bed empty. On the stairs of their home, she finds a 3-page ransom note demanding $118,000 for the return of JonBenet Ramsey. The note also warned the family not to get the police involved. However, Patsy did call the police at 5:52 a.m. and they arrived at 5:55 a.m. She also called family and friends over to the house in order to help them search for her missing daughter. Now, the Boulder Police Department, I forgot to mention that they lived in Boulder, Colorado at the time. The Boulder Police Department made a lot of mistakes early on in this case that may have contributed to this being an unsolved case today. First, only JonBenet's room was blocked off, meaning that any visitors to the house, friends, family, could wander anywhere in the house, potentially destroying or contaminating evidence that could have been used. They also delayed conducting informal interviews with the family because obviously the human mind forgets things a lot. It's best to get statements early on so, you know, it doesn't get forgotten. Even the smallest details that could easily be forgotten could be essential in a case like this. So that was another issue that happened. At 1 p.m., as people have already been trampling through this house, possibly disturbing evidence, the police told Mr. Ramsey and a friend to go search the house, which I find very strange since that's kind of the job of the police officers. The first place that John Ramsey and his friend looked was the basement. They went into a room that the police had not checked, and of course, that is where they found the body of JonBenet Ramsey. And John, obviously, probably not being well-versed in procedures of investigations like this, picked up the body, essentially contaminating and disturbing the crime scene. He brought her upstairs and laid her on the floor, where people have been trampling through all day, and that is how she was found. JonBenet's autopsy revealed that she had died of asphyxiation through strangulation, as well as a blow to her head. She was strangled with what is called a garrote, made with part of one of Patsy's own paintbrushes. The part of the paintbrush that was not used as this weapon has apparently never been found. Her mouth was covered in duct tape, and then her neck and wrists were tied in this white rope that were used to strangle her. Also, when she was found, her torso was covered in a white blanket. I don't think it was ever confirmed for sure that there was a sexual assault involved, although there was apparently injury to her genitals. No semen was ever found in that area or on her body, and I guess they were able to deduct that her private area was wiped clean. Interestingly enough, pineapple was also found in the stomach of JonBenet Ramsey, even though her parents did not recall either of them giving her any pineapple the night before. However, a bowl of pineapple was found in the residence with Burke's fingerprints on it, Burke being her older brother, though because they're fingerprints, they couldn't determine when or how old this bowl was, or when these fingerprints were made. So the Ramseys also maintained all night that Burke was in his room, he never left the room, and there was no evidence ever to suggest otherwise. Now, in this case, there are two theories. One, that somebody in the family committed this crime, and another, that there was an intruder that came into the house. So first, we're going to be talking about the family theory. So first, let's talk about the ransom note. This is probably one of the most interesting pieces of evidence, and I feel like it's the strongest evidence that could point to the family. Again, I'm not saying that the family definitely did this or any of the family did write this note or whatever. I'm just saying that, in my opinion, it's the strongest evidence toward. So the ransom note was very long. It was 2.5 pages, almost 3 pages long, which is not normal. Usually ransom notes are pretty to the point. Give me this or this will happen to whoever's being held for ransom. Essentially, that's usually the gist of it because you want to get in and get out. It was determined also that this ransom letter was written on a pad of paper in the Ramsey home. It wasn't written prior to coming into the home. It was actually written on one of Patsy's own pads of paper with her own pen. I'm pretty sure police discovered this through indentations left on the paper. So the amount wanted for ransom, the $118,000, was very close to the amount that John had recently received as a bonus from work. It seemed a little too coincidental that that exact amount was the amount wanted. Whoever wrote this note would have to have some sort of knowledge of how much John received. Handwriting analyses were given to each of the Ramseys. Burke and John were cleared completely. However, it has never been fully concluded that it was or was not Patsy's writing. I will show you like the actual writing and the test that they did for Patsy. I personally think they look very similar. However, again, I can't say for sure whether or not it is Patsy's handwriting. Another reason that this theory is popular is because apparently the Ramseys weren't always too willing to cooperate, but they claim that is because they thought the Boulder Police Department just wanted to easily close this case and use them as easy suspects, even though the Ramseys were never named as suspects in this case. In 1999, a grand jury did vote to indict the Ramseys on child endangerment and obstruction of a murder investigation. However, the prosecutor did not think there was enough evidence to meet the beyond a reasonable doubt standard, so they were never prosecuted. On to the intruder theory. The evidence supporting this is also very substantial. There was a boot print found next to where JonBenét's body was found that did not belong to anyone in the house. There were also 2 drops of blood that were later identified to belong to an unidentified male found in JonBenét's underwear. A broken window was also found leading into the basement, which is the theorized point of entry if there was an intruder. However, some think this is unlikely because there were apparently undisturbed cobwebs and a lot of dirt and dust on the sill that weren't disturbed. There were no fingerprints or any markings really there to indicate somebody had maybe crawled in. The same goes for a grate that was in front of this window. The heavily carpeted floors of the Ramseys' house could have also muffled somebody going into JonBenét's room and carrying her out. It was theorized that she was likely tased or some sort of stun gun was used to subdue her. I have also heard it said that there were marks on her neck. When I was reading, I didn't come across this for sure, but I have seen it in documentaries, so take that with a grain of salt. Unless, like, you know for sure, then feel free to leave it in the comments. Because of JonBenét's pageant history, she was also likely in the eyes of a lot of adults that were attracted to children. This is a little off topic. I don't understand child beauty pageants that much. I just feel like taking the weird ick factor out of it, it's setting a child up for situations that even adult models and pageant queens and other people who participate in that kind of competition can't really handle. So I disagree with child beauty pageants, but it also puts them in the eyes of people that may want to sexualize them, and a lot of these pageants do end up sexualizing children whether they intend to or not. So in my opinion, I'm 50-50 on both of these theories just because the ransom note is extremely strange. I don't think I can't see an intruder who wants to kidnap a child sitting down to write a 3-page ransom note in a kitchen where anyone can wake up at any time and see them. And then you don't even take the child out of the house. You take them to the basement where you end up killing them. So you're never going to see the money you apparently came in to obtain. So it makes sense to me on that front that it could have been part of the family. When Burke, the brother, went on Dr. Phil a couple years ago, I watched that episode, and I can almost, it might not have been this episode of Dr. Phil. I could just be remembering 2 different TV shows at once. I remember it being said that the marks that were apparently on JonBenét's neck matched the width between 2 pieces of a train set, or a train track set that Burke owned. And I heard the theory that maybe Burke got up to eat some pineapple, and JonBenet also got up, and she took a piece of his pineapple, and he got mad, and he hit her, not trying to kill her, but, you know, just how kids fight. And maybe she fell over, and his childlike curiosity, he just pokes her to see if she's okay, and she was dead. And then maybe from there, the parents tried to cover it up because they didn't want to lose another child. Again, I'm not saying this is what happened. It was just an interesting theory that I have heard, and shows that talk about this, they usually have some kind of angle that they're trying to convince the audience of. So that was probably just one angle that show was trying to convince the audience of. I just find it very interesting. That's all I'm saying. Patsy died in 2006 of cancer, so she is no longer here to defend herself on any of these allegations against her. So I don't want to say like she for sure did anything. I know it was a popular theory back then, it's still a popular theory today that she was involved somehow, and I see how that could be interpreted through the evidence. I'm not here to make a judgment call. I am not a prosecutor, I'm not an investigator. I only know what is on the internet and what I've researched myself. Burke and his father obviously maintain their innocence, that they were not involved in this. Burke actually settled a $750 settlement between him and CBS in 2019 because they put forth the theory that I just told you, that Burke may have been involved in his sister's murder. So please, nobody come for me and say I am accusing the Ramseys of doing any of this. I'm just giving you guys the information. I'm giving my opinions. I find the intruder narrative less likely strictly because of the strangeness of this case, a ransom note being made in the house, and then the child also being murdered in the house and then left there. But again, I am not I'm not saying anything. I'm just giving you information that I found myself. Like I said, DNA evidence has surfaced that may lead to a break in this case very soon, and I hope that JonBenet eventually gets her justice, because no matter what you think of the parents or the family in general, what you think of those investigating, or anyone else who may be involved, she was a little girl that was murdered. And she needs to get her justice. I hope JonBenet finally gets her justice. I hope this case is coming to a close and that she can finally be put to rest. And obviously, if they're innocent, I hope that Burke and John's names are cleared, and I hope that this cloud of suspicion over Patsy can also be put to rest if she's innocent, because I can't imagine like losing your child and then everyone's looking at you like you were a part of it when you weren't. So I hope this case finally gets put to rest and everyone knows in reality what happened and this little girl finally gets her justice. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope it wasn't too much of a downer. I was thinking of different ways to do a Christmas relevant video. Also was really interested in this case. I've been keeping track of it for a while, and it's very interesting, as morbid as it sounds, and I hope that doesn't sound very disrespectful, because I want nothing more than this case to be solved and for this little girl to get justice, and whoever did this to her to rot in jail for the rest of their lives. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you liked this video. As I get more comfortable with true crime cases, I'm sure I'll cover them more. I just want to be very careful because, again, these are real people that I'm talking about, and my words do matter. I hope you guys have a happy holiday or just a happy rest of your year. I will try to upload more soon, and I hope you guys have a great night. Bye.